Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video. In this one I'm going to be making another video on a real world project I worked on. This one is an After Effects and Premiere extension called Motion Pack. This is a fairly complicated extension I created, which was basically to integrate a giant graphics package into an extension that looks nice, that can be imported and drag and dropped or just double clicked on to import it into both After Effects and Premiere. So today I'm going to be going over a bunch of notes and important things I learned and experienced during this project to let you guys have a better insight into what kind of real world projects you might be working on and can expect to try and work on with clients. Before we get started, I do want to remind you down below, hit subscribe and the bell icon to be notified of new videos coming out twice weekly in the channel, and down in the description you can follow us on GitHub for coding updates as well as Instagram for other live updates. If you're not already a member of our Discord server, you can come and join to get help with scripting, extensions, plugins, expressions, submit tutorial ideas, hang out with members, and much more. And if you want to help support us on YouTube, you can become a member, supporter, premium supporter, or VIP. A link for that is in the description. This helps us out financially as well as gives you cool perks as well. You can check us out on AE Scripts down below as well to download or purchase products to help improve your workflows. And you can also check us out on Adobe Exchange, link in the description. Alright, so let's just watch a bit of the trailer here so we can get a feel of the product. This is the actual UI of the product here. It has the title, which will then take you to the website, info button, which launches some information, and then all of the packs are in this pretty interesting folder structure here, which you can then preview by dragging over them, check out all the other ones, or simply click on them or drag and drop them into your Premiere sequence or your After Effects timeline. And this will work in both applications. The way this works is basically by using Mogurts, which work in both of them, and yeah, it makes it super easy from a developer perspective to do that. So I was originally reached out to for this project by Us, who is the person who brought me onto the project, and he is a successful Video Hive author who makes a lot of awesome packs and stuff. You can check out the links to this extension as well as his profile here in the description. But he reached out to me through my Video Hive profile. So if you have a Video Hive profile, you can have this section here which allows people to email you. I actually get a fair bit of clients who reach out to me through here because they see that I've created some stuff. They see that here I make scripts and extensions and I'm a professional After Effects programmer. So that's how I was reached out to originally for this project. So just a little tip there if you want to get a little bit more exposure. He first reached out to me in August of 2019 approximately. I think we had some conversation before this about another project he wanted to work on, but we ended up deciding on this extension. Basically, it just needed to be an After Effects and Premiere extension to quickly add designs and presets or templates to your project, and in this case it uses Mogurts. Now, I didn't know from the beginning of this project, but this was at the time one of the biggest projects I have ever worked on. Not only was it an After Effects and a Premiere extension, which at the time I had not dabbled in too much, but it was also one of these big pack extensions and it was going to have to work for both applications. I didn't think about it at the beginning, but if these presets were all based on, say, Premiere or After Effects projects, they would need to be recreated in the other program to work properly. But because he was smart in his foresight, he used Mogurts, and because of these Mogurts we were able to more easily integrate this into two Adobe applications and not have to do a whole bunch of porting presets and things like that. So the project, we really kicked it off around August of 2019 and basically worked the first couple months on getting the main functionality of the actual import process. The UI for this extension came a bit later in the process. Actually, at first it was very rudimentary, and we worked on the functionality part of actually getting these presets to import and all of that stuff. And then later on, he came to me with some updated designs, and I integrated those into the extension. This project was finished about in January of 2020. It was mostly done in December, but there was about a month period where we were doing just testing to make sure everything was nice and working. And I did just happen to put, I was in Paris at this time because this was a very memorable time. This is the beginning of 2020, so everyone was enjoying their normal lives at this time, and I was in Paris enjoying a well-deserved vacation after working on this extension very hard, and that is when we finished it and I got paid while on vacation. So it can pay off to have these sort of jobs, and I just thought that was a cool anecdote It was kind of like the last hurrah of normal life. But this, as you can see, this project took about August, September, uh, October, November, December, roughly about 6 months, which is not bad for the scope of it. Just to give you a little bit of background and not share our actual emails, I priced the extension based on the amount of UI coding that was going to be required, which at first wasn't too much, but luckily this client was also not afraid to put more into the budget if there was changes in direction of the project. So I gave an initial quote of a rather small amount for a UI that was going to be working in After Effects and Premiere, but later on it was upgraded and added a little bit more onto that as I had to implement his new designs. And I also priced it based on the fact that it has to work for both these Adobe applications, which can often include different import and setups. In this case, the code was different, but the process was the same, requiring Mogurts. I also needed to find a way to make sure through automation I could prepare all of the presets, whether or not your client provides Mogurts, MP4s, After Effects projects or Premiere projects. Usually when you have a big pack like this, which this is a fairly big pack, I believe there's over 1,000 elements inside of it. Having a way to automate the export or preparation process for these Mogurts or whatever resources they give you is important. So I charged for that as well because I knew with this many presets, there's going to be some extra work required to prepare them. And at the time, there wasn't really any extensions that were doing drag and drop import of Premiere presets, but this was an extra feature I tagged onto the price because at the time it wasn't really done and it had to be figured out how to be done basically. Then lastly, the auto scaling of Mogurt elements and adding them to the first available or open track. This is another tricky thing on the Premiere side of things. Not only is a little bit different than After Effects because you can't just add a layer to anywhere. You have to choose a specific track to add your layer to in Premiere. And if there's something already there, you override it. So then you have to create an algorithm which finds the closest open track. If there aren't any tracks, you have to add new tracks, then input the Mogurt to that track. So this was a bit of a workaround process and difficult thing that had to be figured out as well and added to the pricing. So all those things are just a couple of examples of things you should include in your pricing if you are doing this sort of work, because these constitute a fair amount of extra work. And if you notice anything that you think is going to require you to figure out from scratch or to do a ton of research, add that to your pricing. And as I briefly mentioned, this was my first time creating a sort of big time extension, and this was supposed to be for 2 applications. Not only was it one of those big pack extensions that's going to be gigabytes large, but also an author who has a very good reputation, and that puts an extra level of pressure. When they put up the money and they have this many sales, you want to make sure that you make a product that is representative of your hard work and their professionalism. And this was, I guess you could say, sort of my first Motion Bro type extension that I was going to make, especially one that works in both apps. I get a lot of emails still to this day, even like 3 years later, asking for seamless transitions or Motion Bro like extensions. Basically an extension that allows you to quickly browse through thousands of presets. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just this is my first time having to put together such a large project like that. Nothing like just having a few folders full of 10 presets each. We're talking folders and subfolders and thousands of presets, which needed preview images, preview videos, and Mogurts, which all had matching names and are all compressed to an appropriate level to fit into the extension and also look good. So a lot of different moving parts, and that's why I put this as a note, is it was a pretty big step for me. And anytime you're going to make one of these big pack projects, you're probably going to learn a lot. Even if it's your 50th time doing it, I still have to make complicated export tools and all sorts of things for these kind of projects today. And my biggest like takeaway from this project is that like when you have a great client who is respectful, somewhat knowledgeable of what you're doing, which adds another level of respect, and also is very understanding and is willing to like add extra funds or budget if things change or come up. The client was super understanding of the complexities of making this multi-app extension. He was aware that yes, there's like Motion Bro and seamless transitions, but at the time those were also only working for either Premiere exclusively or After Effects exclusively. So he was really understanding of how complex that process was going to be because it hadn't been done much before. And he was great with the payment. And even if like there was big changes later on, a UI change, extra features added, extra presets, he was great in actually paying to support that required work. And he was also very clear with communication and testing. One of my biggest frustrations with some clients is that they aren't very experienced After Effects users, or they're not interested in it. They're interested in simply the tool you're providing for them. So communication in terms of like technical talk or bug testing and getting feedback from them of what exactly the problem is. Sometimes even getting screenshots can be difficult. This guy, Oos, was very good and communicative with that. Did more testing than me, honestly, and found a lot of useful things and bugs inside of it, and made the whole process smoother and get done a lot faster. So yeah, that's pretty much the full description I can give of Motion Pack. It is still available, and there are lots of packs you can use, and you can check it out in the link in the description. This was basically my first big sort of project that I worked on at the time. I had done bigger projects before, but in terms of like overall encompassing amount of presets, amount of applications it needs to work for, amount of features it needs to have, definitely the biggest project I'd worked on. And if you're ever in the situation where you're going to be working on something, or you have the opportunity to work on something massive, I would definitely recommend taking that jump. You're probably going to find yourself working extra hours, but the amount of things you'll learn along the way is basically priceless. And at this point, I can make Premiere extensions very well and easily now because of this process, and continue to make leaps and bounds better extensions when I make bigger extensions because of this. Alright, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button down below, hit subscribe and the bell icon to be notified of new videos coming out twice weekly in the channel, and down in the description you can check out all the links in the description down below for all of these extensions, the portfolio. You can also make sure you follow us down there on GitHub for coding updates, where I upload lots of useful code related and unrelated tutorials. You can also follow us on Instagram down in the description for other live updates. Also, if you want to get help with scripting, extensions, plugins, expressions, submit tutorial ideas, and much more, you can come join our Discord server. You can also help support us on YouTube, link in the description, become a member, supporter, premium supporter, or VIP, and that will help us, again, give us support on YouTube, and you will get cool perks in return. And finally, you can also follow us or check out our stuff on AE Scripts as well as Adobe Exchange down in the description. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.